to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
One of the things that we had was a piece of software that did CD burning, because back in the day, that was a big deal. So we had this product called Describe, and we wanted a sound to play when the disc was finished. So I had to design a sound that played when the disc was finished. And it couldn't be like something stolen. It had to be our own shit.
Yeah.
And I did. And it was great.
Was it shring?
No, I forget. It was, I forget what it did, but yeah, I had to design a sound for that.
Wowie wow.
At one time we had this multi-channel video product, and it played, I don't even remember, MPEG files.
Yeah.
But you could have multiple channels playing files at the same time. And I designed this pretty elaborate graphical user interface that had like a red button with a light inside, and you click down on the button, but it wouldn't come up all the way. It would snap partially up.
Okay.
It was active if you pressed down and it clicked and came back up.
Okay.
And then it would light from the inside. It was like clear red or something,
okay.
Right? I had designed buttons that did that in software. So I designed all the states for the button, like press, the light would come on, and then you let go, and then it would pop up partially. I did that from a software standpoint in images. And then it was all assembled by the engineers to do what we wanted it to do. It looked awesome. And it looked like a couple of lights inside would light up. So it looked like actual hardware, but it was just Photoshop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was fun.
And then when you did the flow, you were like, press. Press.
And it looked cool, because that was one of the things that we did was, like, our software, we tried to emulate some kind of hardware in the UI.
Yeah.
And that one was like, we went overboard on. In fact, one of ours, the Describe software, the initial Describe software looked like a disc recorder that sat on the desktop. And then it had like this hardware thing that slid. I didn't design this. It was designed by Frog Design way back when.
All right.
They were like a big thing back in the day. But it was like this, it looked like a piece of hardware sitting on a desktop. And when you clicked on buttons that were part of the hardware, the side would slide in and out and change what it was doing.
Oh, okay.
And then...
So the animate...
Yeah, and then there were lights down the side that would light up depending on what part of the preparation of burning you were... I'm preparing my files or whatever.
Yeah.
And then burning, like, all the lights were lit up, and then it was like the disc looked like it was spinning.
We don't really see... you and I remember it from like, the Blu-rays and HD DVDs and laser discs, like the packaging of behind the scenes stuff that was on DVDs.
Yeah.
I could spend...
You loved all that?
Really the audio part. Like the behind the scenes of people doing the sound effects to make the... Like,
oh yeah. Foley stuff is fascinating.
You never really. I'm like, if everything is doing its thing, your
perception.
You're just watching.
Yeah.
You're just consuming with your eyes.
Yeah.
And like, however
it's when it's fucked up is when you start noticing shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Your uncanny valleys and whatnot with like animation and shit like that. But How would they have mic'd that? How would they have gotten a mic there? And then you learn, and I kind of got a little bit tiptoed into this when, before kids, friend Rob, when we would record music, Rob, like mixers. I mean, we had a big deal mixer, and so it was at that point where I understood, oh man, yeah, sorry.
I think a UFO just showed up.
Yeah, it's fucking 7:30. Wow, man. She's going to hear about that. Hashtag I love my wife.
Check out the lighting.
I know. It's take me. Winning lotto numbers? Tickets to SEMA?
Just stay out of my ass.
It was, yeah. It was right about that time where I realized the multiple channels used for making music and audio video stuff. Like, oh, I see now. Like,
yeah.
we would go to like
it was an epiphany
yeah.
of sorts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the concept of like you and me sitting here and playing instruments with one mic. Like, yeah, I never really thought like, well, how does that actually get good sound quality like that? And Rob comes over and he's got like the guitar is mic'd through the amp, and there's a mic on the fucking kick drum and right over the snare drum. Like, where all the fucking mics come from? Like,
yeah.
Well, that's how you get. And then he's at his cousin-in-law had a studio out of his house. Amazing setup. And then we would go over there like just homies killing time. And oh yeah, that's too high. We'll just take down snare and give more kick. And like the ability to pull in and out instruments that were all part of a suite. Wow, fucking wow. So then you see and that led me into like the movie part where like, oh man, it's fascinating. Like, of course they didn't have a mic on his shoe,
right?
But the sound that his shoe was making as the man traipses through the swamp or something, and you hear it's like, well, how did that get there? And here's the guy playing with fucking silly putty in a studio on a pallet playing with silly putty and a balloon.
Head of lettuce.
Yeah, like what the fuck? What? How does that work?
Yeah,
I just Destiny seems to do a lot of behind the scenes stuff for their
much production,
and their sound guys tend to post actively on Twitter of them making sounds as well. There's a new feature in the game that they just the expansion they just released that's they call Strand, and it's kind of like rope weave based, and so they covered some of the way they're like sounds of strings and ropes and things, and they in order to make the primary one of the add-in sounds for when you're using this space magic effect is cellophane and them pulling their hands across a cellophane like the ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Stretched out cellophane.
And like some of these fancy small mics, like where they'll take it and they'll set it on an electronic device and be able to pick up the hum of. You're like, you put that thing up to your ear and you ain't hearing shit.
Right.
But this thing,
it's grabbing it. Yeah, which is probably just a fan. Or something.
Yeah, the amount of sound effects that if you're a Star Trek fan, Star Wars fan, sci-fi, anything, Babylon 5, take your pick. The amount of sound effects that they've probably put in there, mixed, added a thing, ran it through 5 different pieces of software, and like tuned a reverb, and it's like some dude's toaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
right.
The beep boops run through a bunch of stuff. It's like random guy's toaster oven.
Exactly.
You're like, what? I would never have guessed. Like, there's no way. Of course you wouldn't. Like the squeaky sound of the caster on his guy's office chair becomes like the pulse rifle bullet sound. You're like, okay, but also cool.
I always thought it would be funny if you had like a comedy movie where the Foley was just way overdone. You know what I mean? Like completely wrong for
completely wrong.
Yeah, like
I was gonna say like Kung Fu Fury, but it's not wrong.
Yeah, it would be like overdone to the point to where now it's Foley, like because that's the whole point of Foley is to make it match what's happening and to be as subtle,
passable.
Yeah, as subtle as possible that it passes off for the thing for the sound of the thing, right?
Right.
But to do a movie that's not serious,
Right, like
to-
when you can pick out like the Wilhelm screams on like any of the.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
no one's making that sound. Everyone
Right.
knows that's the gag. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Every time someone like does a punch and it's like clearly a water bottle being crunched, you're like, come on. Yeah. So over the top, you're like,
yeah,
dude, really? Someone gets slapped and it's very clearly like baloney.
right,
Ooh.
exactly.
You're like, oh, come on.
I had a couple of friends that back in the, well, I had several friends who were in bands, and so local Sacramento area bands that would go record at a studio called Enharmonic in Sacramento.
Okay.
And that was cool to go when they were doing recording sessions, and especially with the drum kit, to see how the drums were mic'd up and how they were put into the mix and how the mix was fascinating. I always thought that there is a special talent for that, because I mean,
Oh, yeah.
in the punk rock world, there are albums that are just completely garbagely produced. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
they are shit. You know what I mean? And to see the efforts that some of these guys go through to try and get it right,
Oh, yeah.
it's awesome. I love that.
There is, I just started getting on this kick. I don't know how I have a hint as to how it got in my feed. Oh, so the gentleman that was an actor, that he does like sample stuff. Mark Rebele,
Oh, yes.
that guy.
Oh, he was an actor?
I thought he acted in something. I
Oh,
thought
I
he
don't
was
know.
famous for something else, and this is his thing. But fuck, maybe
I think, as far as I know, he was just doing
that's his name though, right? Mark
Rebele or something.
Rebele.
Yeah,
It's
something
like
that.
French.
Yeah.
He essentially takes he creates like samples and loops and like on the fly. I found
It's really
Oh,
good.
Oh, absolutely, and
He's making it on the fly.
he's doing it
Yeah.
right there.
He's creating the sound and,
Right.
and making
and I
and then
think,
manipulating it and making like keyboard sounds and loops and
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think he streams it, but like some of the YouTube stuff that I watch, he may be like editing it down to like a reasonable episode, but I don't know. But either way, most of it is happening like
right now.
off the hip.
Yeah.
Like he is like, I got an idea and I'm running with it. No, played with your grandma's taint. Click.
Yeah.
No, played with your grandma's taint. Blank. And I need a beat. And then you know, right?
Yeah.
So sorry, Grandma.
She liked it. It's
She loved
fine.
it. Hey, okay. Welcome to Sad Dad's Club podcast episode. Shit.
Wow, it is shit.
235.
Probably.
I'm the Lord Fu.
I'm Jim.
Okay, here we go. Okay, this gentleman that I found, his YouTube videos are absolutely amazingly produced. Like he's throwing in like little memes and stuff. He's funny as hell. I don't know his name. I'll have to put a link in the description, and you'll have to something do the click, whatever.
Clickety clacks.
He's using Fruity Loops.
Mm.
And this gentleman, I swear, is a fucking wizard. He does essentially relatively the same kind of concept as Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Is he will take some random sound that like he does Twitch. So some random sound off of like his community Discord or a Twitch comment or something that he saw funny from somewhere.
And then build something
And
around
he
it.
builds an entire song off of a series of samples. Like he did one with, it was just a guy, like a Data's, like he was a pool guy.
Okay.
And he pulls out from his truck, he pulls off this like corrugated tube extension from a holder bracket on the truck. And so you get this
Oh, that's
from
cool.
from the tube, that like hollow tube sound of a plastic tube.
Okay.
And he absolutely, and the whole time he's doing this, it's entertainment. Like the making of the thing is entertainment. He's funny as fuck.
Yeah.
And then
So it's got a little comedic value in it.
yes, and he's like joking, he's self-deprecating along the way.
Yeah.
He's making like
Oh, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, millennial hipster jokes. Like if you get memes, he's spot on. He's got a cat, and everybody loves the fucking cat. So if you're cat, and by the end, he's cranking out bangers, like absolute amazing shit.
Okay, so the first time I think I realized that this was a possibility to like use a random sound
Okay.
in commercial style music is the Beastie Boys used.
Okay.
Like, when you have a soda from like fast food or whatever, and it's got the lid and the straw.
Oh yeah.
And they have used that in a Paul's Boutique song.
Okay.
And that is one of the main samples in the song. It's like used a lot.
Huh.
And I didn't really know what the sound was when I first heard the song, or probably the first fucking 100 listens or something. And then I read something about it at some point and went, oh my God, that's exactly
totally
what
sound.
that fucking is. It's the sound of the straw going, and it's in the fucking, they put that shit in the song.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, because that album came out in like 90, what year? 89? 89.
Paul's Boutique. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite Beastie Boy albums. That's the only reason why I bring it up.
Yeah.
I just think that's fascinating. And the fact that they were, as far as I know, and I'm sure this has happened elsewhere, but as far as I know, that's the first time for me personally that I ever really realized some everyday thing is like plays a major role in a song on one of their albums.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating that they can just take a stupid sound out of a straw and use that.
Where did I?
It blows my mind.
I think it's a Argonaut may know a lightsaber sound.
That sound?
Like it might be that is like someone banging on a heavy duty power line.
Okay.
Like the like taking a metal tool, I think it was.
So you're saying like the original from the original
like
Star Wars?
Guy wire.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the original bass sound for the Star Wars lightsaber hum.
So they like recorded that and then like slowed it down or sped it up or whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
that's cool.
I like and I'm trying to think of a song. Yeah, I mean, I listened to way too much like electronic shit. Certainly in like the 2000s, where I think they were taking, like at that point, I think from the advent of the 90s, where it was like, oh yeah, they moved from, it wasn't new, like sampling chunks of songs and using those.
Oh yeah.
To, I think really, like electronic started to become. Like, oh, well, fucking, yeah. Like, I can take this and manipulate that sound, and I'm drawing a blank. Is this something that I could name like Paul's Boutique, though?
Well, Paul's Boutique, another thing about that album is that was one of the records that had probably one of the highest amounts of samples where they literally just stole shit and put it into their record.
Oh.
And if they were to try and make that record today... Because back then, no one really gave it much thought to like just steal samples from somewhere and use them. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you got to have big permission and it's cost you some money.
Yep.
They probably wouldn't be able to afford to make that record today or, But back then, that's just how you did it. And there are shitloads of samples all over that record. And you don't even really realize it. They like blend them so well, you know. I think that's fascinating too, how we went from like music was all original to then all of a sudden you could like just record, you had the, like a beat box or something, you could record just a quick clip and then cycle it over and over again and then start stealing stuff out of records. Oh, I like that little hit in that, or whatever the little thing, that little hitch or whatever. I'm going to take that and put it in my... And then that was like a huge deal, and people were sampling all over the place.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it's kind of fucked up that people would just steal little bits out of your songs and stick them,
Hey.
But it made for what I would consider to be, that record is kind of a master, like ahead of its time when it came out. People didn't like it back in the late 80s, early 90s. It wasn't a big thing.
I'm trying to think of, I want to say the first time I remember that becoming an issue was, do you remember, the P. Diddy mix where he took the Police thing, his like Every Breath You Take sample, and it was like talking about him. It was like post Biggie Smalls being shot, and he did like a rap over the Police sample over Every Breath You Take, and people were just like, "What?
Wait a sec.
Yeah, what?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Did you get permission?" I think he did. I can't remember. I think he had clearance, but it was one of those like, well, this is like way egregious. And then he also, oddly enough, and I think that started to become like a collab thing, because then I think for the Godzilla soundtrack with Matthew Broderick, he did like a Page Plant mashup for something else on that soundtrack. And
I'm not a Diddy listener. Yeah. That's like past my...
But I remember like late 90s-ish, that started to become like, I think you started to get into the, hey, wait
a second.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, from my song is one thing, but like, ho, you're like, hey, fucker.
Well, I remember the Public Enemy, they had lyrics and songs talking about stealing music, and that one of the songs specifically talked about like getting sued over stealing, because the rap back then was very, very heavily beat driven, right? And that I think it was they got sued over like a beat.
Oh,
but like if you didn't sample it and you played a beat isn't a musical thing; it's a timing thing.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, you couldn't like copyright a beat really.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because then more than half the music we have now would not exist if you could do that with, with drum hits.
I remember, God damn, this is, well, it had to have been somewhere after 2000. I was at a house party in Chico. I was no longer attending. I was there as a guest of a brother who had someone who was going to Chico State. So
okay.
I was...
So you had it in, but you weren't actually part of that?
But I was not being educated at the time. Getting absolutely hammered. And there was some argument going on in the living room about how Papa Roach wasn't a real band because they stole all of their riffs from Green Day.
Okay.
And I'm like... They're like, and they're using this like drop D chord progression that like fucking Green Day, like drop D is just it's a
tuning thing.
It's a tune, bro. It's like not like fucking Green Day invented. Hey man, okay, we're just gonna okay, drop D.
Yeah,
we're good. We invented it. No, dipshit.
Yeah,
like
lots of people use that.
Like.
Heavy music, a lot of heavy music.
Oh my God! All the songs we would play here were fucking mostly drop D because everything was real easy, fucking power chord. Yeah, we played fucking Papa Roach, Green Day.
Yeah,
Tom Petty. Fucking Tom Petty was drop D.
Really?
Yes. Oh, God damn! Tom Petty shit is so easy to play. Just a bing, 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 bing. Mary Jane. Oh yeah, Last Dance for Mary Jane. Like all that shit drop D. Like Tom Petty is doing this shit. And I'm sure there was some pharaoh in ancient Egypt with a... Drop D. Yeah, we're good.
That's better.
We get good. Yeah. Oh, we build a pyramid? Fuck off. Drop D.
Dude, bang your head.
Yeah, get with this.
Yeah.
Look it out. Yeah?
Yeah.
Osiris. Drop D. No. That's not how that works. Let's go. Build a pyramid, dickhead.
That's hilarious. Get up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I ever tell you that with the same recording thing? We may have, we've been doing this so long, I may have told this story. The running joke.
You told me.
Yeah, probably.
I'm kidding.
I'm going to tell it again if you just started, because now I'm reposting all the stuff on YouTube podcasts.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh.
Seasons 1 through 4, I uploaded to.
Oh.
You can just like import previous stuff. I'm like, fuck.
Why not?
It's free stuff. So when we're done with 5, I'll upload 5. I'm like, haha. The running joke when we were doing all of the recording was that all of us we played a lot of Weezer too. All of us at some point had to go to the studio and we had to record Enrique Iglesias's Hero.
Okay.
So no vocal talent, white guys. I can be your hero, babe. Like, it's absolutely fucking terrible.
Right.
But everyone did it. They're around, and like, this is a full studio mix operation.
Yeah.
There are copies out there somewhere of me trying to sing that shit.
I want it.
And then
I want it on vinyl.
My buddy, he was way better at playing all the instruments, and way better at singing. And we did a goddamn, the thing took it because we're terrible at music. It took us like 2-3 weeks to get everything down for the Weezer Sweater Song, and I can't sing.
Yeah.
But I did the like skit stuff that's like at the beginning and middle about, hey man, are you going to the party? You going to the show after the party?
Yeah.
Nah, man, I don't have a car, but maybe I could get a ride, or whatever the fuck he says.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll do that. Like, it's just talking.
Talking, yeah.
I'm like, I'm good.
My voice is good for talking.
So somewhere out there's that, like a full garage band, but studio quality production of the Sweater Song.
Probably on cassette.
Yes, probably an 8-track. Of a couple people playing drums, guitar, bass of the Sweater Song with Rob singing and me doing the spoken intro and verse of the guy in the Sweater Song. Somewhere. I don't have it, I assure you.
Yeah.
And it's in a vault somewhere.
Speaking of music, so I talked a while ago about a friend of mine who passed away, Scott Vingers. And a mutual friend of ours from high school, who was the guy that I ended up going to find out that he had passed away, contacted me out of the blue like on Friday and was like, hey man, I got all these records of Scott's and I think they should go to you. And I was just like, okay, sure. Okay. And so I met with him on Sunday and picked up a crap ton of 12 and 7-inch, just tons of punk rock stuff. A lot of stuff that I've never even heard of because is in high school, Scott moved back to Boston.
Right. I think, okay.
And so he was a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And when he played guitar, I actually played bass. And
Nice.
so Scott and I, and then another friend from high school would get together and just jam sometimes.
Nice.
And I was terrible playing bass. I could play bass by myself, great. But if I was in a timed situation,
I play bass by myself all the time.
Yeah, if I was in a timed situation with some drums and a guitar, someone else playing, man, I was awful.
No.
Just needed practice. But
I feel you.
Yeah.
The same thing.
But so when he moved to Boston, he like was in a couple bands and he knew tons of people and he played shows and he was in another band when he was in Florida before he came back out here.
Okay.
So he's got 7 inches and like weird demo discs that like say demo on them that like don't have any labeling.
Oh wow.
That are like one-off pressings, it looks like, of like 7-inch records that are
of his stuff.
No, of someone else's stuff, and it's all stuff I gotta get my record player set up and listen to. There is hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of listening to records. There's a couple of gems in that pile of stuff.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands is a band called The Tank, and they were out of like Orange County. Mm-hmm. And They were formerly called Brown Lobster Tank prior to them being called the Tank. And basically the same folks minus a couple people. Like there was a little bit of change out in people. But Scott had a Brown Lobster Tank 7-inch I didn't even know existed.
Wow.
And I'm friends with the bassist. His name is Guy. I snapped a picture and I sent it to him. I'm like, oh my God, this just fell in my lap. Like, what the heck? And then there's he has a 12-inch of the original Green Day Dookie. So first pressing of that, I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. But there's a lot of stuff in there. He's got a lot of Blondie.
Ooh.
He's got like a lot of like older stuff like that, but then just tons of punk rock stuff that like Susie and the Banshees. I was just like,
wow.
Yeah, really cool.
And I was going to say, you mentioned it. So you're not actively listening to vinyl because you mentioned you had to put your record player together.
I have a record player and I use it mainly for ripping stuff to MP3s. So it's got a USB port on it and plug it into my machine and I can use an app to record stuff off of it. And that's typically how I listen to my vinyl is it's been recorded. Because I got a lot of stuff that you literally cannot buy like on iTunes Store. It's not available. It's only available on vinyl. So I have ripped a ton of music from my old vinyl stuff.
Where do you keep that? Your vinyl?
I have a crate in my closet.
Oh, okay.
Full of stuff. And those are kind of like prized possession things. That's all stuff that I'll never get rid of. Stuff I love my 12-inch
Well, it's
records.
good on you because like vinyl seems to have like come back around the horn like the last 7 or so years.
I don't even care about that. And even so, it's like none of this stuff that I got from this exchange from Scott, essentially, not necessarily from Scott, but from Eric from Scott. Like, even if it's stuff I don't care about, I wouldn't be like dumping it, you know?
Right.
It's like, I feel like I'm the purveyor of Scott's stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's not mine necessarily. I'm just hanging on to it. I don't know why, like, that's my thought process, but I can't just be like, oh, this is garbage. I'm going to take it over to
Dimple.
Well, Dimple doesn't exist anymore. But,
Dimple, see?
But yeah, I would. I mean, or the Cave up in Folsom, which is like the son of the lady that owned Dimple.
What was the one in Auburn? Nancy's?
Auburn?
There was one on the, that wonky Y that took you up above by train tracks. I think it was called Nancy's.
Oh,
Yes, there was like a Dimple, but in Auburn.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Where we used to go. It goes to show you, I couldn't afford shit.
Dimple was the place where I used to go.
Yeah, like right here where there used to be a.
Well, it used to be on Douglas.
Yeah.
Like
Right. Yeah, Douglas.
Yeah, like
I knew one on Douglas.
Not by Trader Joe's, but the other one that was down the street on the left. It's like a dentist office now.
Yeah.
By across the street from what's that? Hobby Lobby.
Yes.
It used to be across the street from where Hobby Lobby's at.
Yes.
And I remember like back in the day, like Dimple they had all the cool shit.
Oh yeah.
If you were already exhausting what Tower had to offer, then you made the trip to Roseville from Fair Oaks.
Yeah.
To go to Dimple. You know, and back then that was a trip because everything was 2-lane roads back then. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like 2-lane roads down Sierra College and then turn left at Douglas, and that was 2-lane roads until you got into the big like shopping area. And then maybe if you felt like you were going to get lucky, you might go to Warehouse Records across the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Dimple was they were the shit.
I remember going to, we left, when I left the state for the bank, at the time, like Tower was still like a big thing.
Oh yeah.
That and Virgin Megastore.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple of the big cities like New York, San Francisco, Baltimore that I ended up in. It was still like a thing like I at the time I really wasn't buying music, anyway.
Yeah.
But going in those music stores was like visiting a Planet Hollywood or Hard Rock Cafe or take your pick of a 90s iconic storefront kind of thing, like a Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Saks Fifth Avenue kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like in New York on Fifth Avenue. It was still like wow, damn, fuck, music.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Well, it was not uncommon for me to go to the tower there at Sunrise, like by Sunrise Mall, and then not really find anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to the other tower that was down in Carmichael, and then go to the other tower that was down on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
On the same, just like that was the trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then spend $80 or $90 on music that day.
Mm.
That was, and it was LPs or CDs or, kind of like I kind of picked and choose the form factor for what I was looking for. Also, vinyl started to get harder to find good stuff at some point. So it's like, and then also like compact discs were durable. They sounded good.
Yeah.
You couldn't go wrong with a CD because the audio quality was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And you could take them with you,
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas with an LP, you would have to record it to a cassette and then play the cassette, and then you're like got this, the hiss or whatever. And CDs, you didn't have to worry about that because they just sounded good. I remember the first time I heard Edie Brickell. She had one of the first albums that came out that was all recorded completely digitally, and like the clarity in that record, and it was like, oh shit. There's like one song in there where someone rides a tricycle through the studio while she's recording and like bling bling on the little handlebars. If you're listening in the right spot, you can actually hear it. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I used to spend way too much money just on music.
I remember it. I mean, this probably goes back months. I think Argonaut, Argonaut, had mentioned something like, I think one of his daughters, I can't remember how the topic came up, but essentially he was talking about the like a CD to tape adapter and how his kids wouldn't like, man, the just in car paraphernalia that our kids have no grasp of, like a book of CDs. Like I want to listen to something, and you reach over and you unzip it, and you're like
flipping through
the smell of the plastic sleeved where the fuck is that? Someone put this one in backwards.
Or buying the Case Logic cases that the actual CD cases go into. Yeah.
I put this one. You know what? Fucking Blaupunkt makes a 6-disc changer.
Right.
Wow. And Pioneer has one. It's like remote, and you put it in your trunk.
Right.
And then I don't have to keep my book that it got stolen again from the school parking lot. Fuck you.
Yeah.
JetBlue.
Yeah, so it was an adapter that was a tape. It had a head inside the tape.
Yes.
And then that stuck into the tape player. And then the tape deck would go into playback. But it was just getting its magnetic
the signal from
the head that was matching up with the other head, and then it had a wire coming out with an auxiliary jack, and you just plug that into a CD player.
A huge dinner plate sized Discmans.
Yeah, I actually had one of those, and I had a this sounds so funny. I had a screwed into the floor of the console.
Yeah.
It was like mounted to the carpet, and it was a little plate that had rubber, and you would Velcro the disc player to that, and then it was shock mount. Yeah. And then somebody would like hit it with their leg or whatever because it was right in their fucking leg in the passenger seat. It was like, careful with the CD player, man.
Hey.
And then eventually I got one that would actually take skips and like not.
Yeah.
It would actually cache the music.
Yeah.
But man, that's crazy.
The kids don't know.
My dad actually said that back when he was a kid, that they put a record player in a car.
Did they?
That's what he said. I mean, we were laughing because it was like, oh yeah, the thing was probably skipping like crazy.
We had in high school, what was for the bulk of high school, Venus's boyfriend. He had a Civic that now I would like before the '90s Civic, so like the CVCC.
Oh yeah,
style one. Man, it would be cool to have one. In it, he only had an 8-track player.
Oh yeah.
So we're young 90s. You know, we're getting into stereos and shit. Like my friend just in Joe's house, he started to come into his family started coming to money. He had like a Chevy Love that he had full of fucking jail audio stuff and Soundstream amps. So like we were getting into Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, Beastie Boys, like all that stuff like was starting to kick off. Soundgarden, Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Well, and this the one guy, the one friend, he had an 8-track player, and it was like it was still cool. So when we would go to Tower or Dimple, we were legit like,
got this on 8-track?
Yeah, you got any 8-tracks? Where's the 8-track collection? Like, and we would get looked at stupid. We played more fucking Bee Gees.
Oh, that's hilarious.
In that Civic. And we may have worn it out, but, you know, they don't know.
Yeah.
The kid doesn't know.
I know. I remember, you ever play with a 2XL?
A 2XL?
Yeah. You ever play with one of those?
No. I mean,
it was like a little...
I got a 3XL.
It was like a little robot guy that had an 8-track player in it.
No.
And that you buy 2XL tapes, 8-track tapes, and you put it in. And then it was like a game. And the channels, so it would ask you a question and it would say 1, 2, or 3, you know, and it had this funny voice that he would say. He would talk all fast in like a robot voice.
Okay.
And then when you were trying to answer his question, you would switch to the channel and then he would tell you if you were right or wrong because now you're on that channel.
Oh, okay.
It's so bizarre, but
like a choose your own adventure with 8 tracks?
Yeah.
Quiz show thing?
Kind of. But it was like a little, it was like a toy robot thing with an 8-track player in it.
I kind of have a vision, but I might just
I'm pretty sure it was 2XL.
2XL.
Yeah.
The Z has like a normal cassette tape player.
Yeah.
Like, I won't ever pull that out of there.
No?
No. I'll leave it in there.
You could supplement it with something. Like,
when I look at like what I would do with that, I would leave it there because it belongs there.
Yeah.
But I have, when I'm driving, even when I was driving that, I wasn't really ever listening to the radio. It was more about the thing, which is funny because I had just seen, we were just talking about the Throttle YouTube channel guys who like build and flip cars to give them away in sweepstakes because they're actually just a merch site and parts store. So anyway, the
builds drive people.
Yeah, the builds drive the people to the store to buy the K&N air filters to then.
Right.
So anyway, they bought an S2000, and the S2000 hides its radio, and outside of the gauges, everything is like hidden behind a panel.
Well, probably
for the most part,
because convertible.
Right. Well, I'm sure that's there, but the Honda's reason was it's a driving car.
Oh.
So all we want you to see are the controls for driving. So you get the instrument that what at the time was ahead of its time for an instrument panel.
Yeah.
The driver's controls for driving, and the dash pretty much from like the display all the way over to the passenger is blank. It is naked. There is nothing there. There's nothing to distract the driver. And then a covered door, like a hinged louvered door, covers the radio, so it's fucking gone. There's no buttons for you to tinker with and play with.
They want your hands on the wheel.
Yeah, they want your hands on the wheel or the stick.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Like, man, I hadn't really ever. The cockpit does look a lot. I mean, it's 2-seater roadster.
I mean, they don't even do that in the Miata, though, and that's kind of the same.
Right, but I think it's close in that it's simplistic, but I'm envious because I get it. Like, as someone who's now like gone beyond like, oh, fucking
infotainment.
Yeah, I've got a display screen and all the touchies and climate and tick 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 ticks. But when I think back about driving the Z,
yeah,
it's like I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen to the radio. And what do I need? What do I need? I need indicators, wipers, a full view of my gauge cluster, and a stick.
That's kind of wild because for me, like, tunes is a big part of it. I think tunes sort of sets the tone for the drive.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's that way. Like, I'm in a place where all of my cars since
you have that
have
I get
fantastic audio. But like when I am in a groove, like a driving groove, I'll can it.
Yeah.
I'll can it. Like when we did the Gray Eagle thing, like I'm listening to, I can't remember what we said I was listening to, but I was listening to good
Linda
shit.
Ronstadt?
It could have been. Could have been. Fucking Blue Bayou, baby. Yeah, I know. So sometimes, but it was like, man, now I'm older and wiser natured. So I'm like, I missed that one. I knew those cars were cool, and we talk about it loosely.
Yeah.
Ahead. But I'll be following this one close. And I know that I've watched a couple like, oh, we're rebuilding an S2000 from a salvage title, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of like, oh, it's a Honda. Yeah. Something about like this in this moment, like I'm extra invested in. Like I see
that that car in particular. The packaging is just really well done. It's just a real nicely set up rear wheel drive, which is very unusual for a Honda.
Right, and one of, if not the first longitudinal mounted 4 cylinders, because it was rear wheel.
Yeah.
It's not like a horizontal with a
axles
transposed gearbox to make it work. It is pointed the other way lengthwise.
I mean, speaking of that, I haven't, other than the throttle video series that you're talking about, I haven't seen any S2000.
The Goon Squad did one.
Yeah, they don't count.
Yeah, I would agree. And they had 2.
Did they really?
Because they bought a donor that they had to pilfer a motor from.
I feel like that's how you'd have to go, though. Because it seems like if you see an S2000 in the wild, it's modded. Always. Yeah. They've always got some kind of mods. They're lowered, they're this, they're that.
Yeah.
Exhaust or whatever it is. It's like they've past their ability to just be
vanilla. Yeah.
People couldn't leave them alone.
Did you see the episode where they
I didn't watch it.
Theirs is close. I'm sure they paid a pretty penny for it.
Mm-hmm.
The previous owner had just redone in leather the seats.
Oh.
I think there was a little, like maybe a front and rear, like duck
chin or
duck
something.
bill and a spoiler valance on the front, but it didn't look far off. Everything worked, and it didn't look to the engine when they opened the hood to see the engine bay. It didn't look too done. Now that doesn't mean that he didn't undo something and return it to a stock-ish, but it looked fairly conservative as far as what they bought and now what they're gonna do. I mean, they're gonna do the thing that you're going to recognize as like, Well, fuck.
Why?
We're way off of where it came from. Like, is it recognizable? I don't know. We'll see.
And they're giving it away, right?
Yes, it'll be their next sweepstakes car. I'll buy a fucking hat. I don't care what they turned it into. I'll buy a hat just to get an opportunity to win an S2000. Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know that I'd want it all modified. I would want it as stock as possible. But that, you're not getting a car out of them that's not modified.
That's not totally. They're out. Are you looking at the site? The Audi one is not too far bad.
It's just when I searched for it, it just brought me up to like, oh, here's the parts shop for an S2000. Buy some parts.
Yeah.
For an S2000. I don't.
We're just talking about like how the orientation. It reminds me a lot. Maybe a month, 2 months back.
Mm-hmm.
I think someone was doing a super build. And we were talking about how, I had missed it. Like I've been in 300ZXs of the '90s era, like the flat T-top style. My friend owned one, like driven it, loved it. Never in a Supra, the Mark IV Supras, but in watching the rebuilds, I hadn't really realized how cockpitty.
Yeah, the wraparound aspect.
In the '90s, they were doing that shit too, and I was too young and too stupid to really be paying attention to. Oh, wow, that's handy.
Yeah,
and none of the cars
very driver specific,
right? Yeah. None of the cars
passenger
I drove had that.
Keep your fucking hands. This is my shit.
No.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, but everything I had was a normal car that was slightly upticked, but they were all normal cars.
Yeah,
but those cars, those sporty ones, probably the '90s Preludes might have fallen into there. But the Mark IV Supra and that era, same era 300ZX were almost like for like in that curved wraparound driver information. No, of course you didn't, lady. I moved my wrist one
It's
time.
not 3 co-hosts, bitch.
Yeah. What?
It's only 2.
Damn. Fuck.
That's so funny. I did not understand what you said.
Let's speak Spanish. Hey, we're in an interview, so real quick.
Yeah.
While we break up. You remember?
We're breaking up?
Yes. We might be. Weep for me, bitch. At Christmas, I told you I didn't get you shit.
Yeah, no.
And I said,
and I was happy about that.
Right. But I said at some point.
No, it's not happening.
At some point.
Would it change your mind if I told you that I forgot your torque wrench again?
No.
It's just sitting in my garage.
Dickhead.
If you say yes, I'll be like, that's cool.
Well, here you go.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Are you going to make me open this?
Yeah, it's just, you can just look in it and you'll know.
All right. So let's do this as conspicuous.
Yeah.
Is it? Am I going to break it?
No.
I don't know what it is yet.
Really?
It's dark and
it's
very dark.
In here.
What? I don't know what it is. The handy. Oh, the bag ringer. Oh,
yes.
Look at you.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That's pretty awesome because you know why? I'm going to do this.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I get yours all set.
Look at that.
So a grabber and a trash ring.
Unfortunately, I cannot use this to pick up Max's poop.
No. I mean, if you need a bag with that kind of circumference.
This is cool. Thank you.
Yeah, holy shit.
Wow.
So now we are helping the community.
This is like semi-pro stuff right here. You know what I mean? If I run around picking up trash like this, I have to have a vest now.
Yeah, I did not get you a high-vis vest, but that would be hilarious.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll be using that at some point.
Yeah.
there's enough people around my neighborhood. I almost feel shamed into doing it.
Right.
I mean, I feel bad that like there's enough people around my neighborhood picking up garbage all the time that I'm not one that's doing it.
When I was looking at for the ring, because like I said in I think it was last week's episode, I'm like, I had this thing on my wish list. So it occurred to me when you were talking about that they were picking up stuff.
Yeah.
Are they just holding a bag?
Yeah.
Or are they just putting it in their pockets or some shit?
No, the people that I see, like one of them is an older Asian couple, and the wife carries just like a plastic like Walmart bag.
Okay.
And then the husband has like a pair of grabbers. So he walks around with the grabbers and he just puts it into her bag, and she just opens up the bag.
I like that idea because one, the bag is
It's
always
open.
open.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to struggle with it.
Like if you picked up a can that was in the gutter that was like had some sort of nefarious fluid passing over it,
right?
And like you grabber it, but then it touches the side of the bag that you're kind of holding, and then the bag, yeah, the bag closes, so you've got to get two hands to open the bag up. Now your hand, it's on a ring. Your hand holds the ring, and you're good to go. What
I'm noticing is the bag is you like pinch it with this little.
It has a bungee ring.
Yeah, the bungee.
Yeah,
that's pretty clever.
Yeah, so it's always open. Tons of gaping hole space.
That's what she said.
I know. That's why she loves it that way. So
awesome! I'm going to use it. I didn't get to take the dog for a walk today.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have had this anyway.
It was bad.
I was, yeah.
We're close to time, so I got a funny haha. Okay.
Do it.
So, I can't remember what brought this up between my wife and I. But I think we were talking about lottery, and if one of us or life insurance or something like that. Yeah, if one of us passed and then win the lottery, you could just spend that money and fix the house or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
So we're on a walk, and I said, you know what though? Oh no, she asked me. It was like, what car? What car should I get? Like, I be
with the insurance money?
Yeah, with the insurance money. And I think I said right out of the gate, I said, I would want you to buy a Mini Cooper. Like done up like in the Mark Wahlberg Italian Job, where it was all just specced out and pegged, like
with like the British flag or whatever.
Well, no, like like a tuner, like a full tuner thing. So it was like peppy, zippy, coilovers, just like ready to zip and fucking rock. Like,
and just make sure you check the oil, Tony.
Right? Yeah, one of those. And she was like, really? And I went.
So you have to specify this in
my will.
Your will that this is the money will go towards
and no matter what happens when I pass, like this vehicle. And she was like, "Well, I thought you would have said something like, I was kind of hoping you'd say something like a Mustang, like a '67 Mustang that would like go to, and then it would be tuned." And I went, "Well, okay, like I guess."
What kind of money you think you're getting?
Yeah, and we're rounding a corner. I went, no. I've got it. In my last will and testament, I will request and demand that you get a Jeep Gladiator and you slam it.
Oh, shit. What a waste.
Yeah.
And then you have to drive it for a daily.
Yeah, you just drive it around because that's it. Like we've moved past the fucking Mini Cooper specced out and the fucking.
Oh, you just cooked your own goose, lady.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no. That's the gag because both of us can't stand one of those. I said, and what you'll do to that entire community, they will absolutely hate it. And, but everyone will point. And I said, yes, that's what you can completely absolve it to your dead husband who put it in his lap. You're going to take a brand new off the lot Jeep Gladiator to some performance tuning shop, and you're going to say,
"Slam it."
oh, excuse me. Well, what are you looking for, ma'am? And would you want
See that
37s?
gladiator out there with the
30
plates?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the off-road. Yeah. See that the one that's got the temp plates on it? Oh yeah. So lift? No. I want you to put that bitch on the ground with bags.
We are going the other way.
I want 15s at max, and I want it stanced. Ma'am, it's a four-wheel
Jesus.
drive. Yeah, it's going to be a four-wheel drive stanced fucking Jeep Gladiator.
Can you stance a hard axle?
Who the fucking know? They're going to do it.
They're gonna figure it out.
It's in the will.
We got to put CV axles on it.
Yeah. Whatever it takes. You're gonna take a 60 to 70 grand fucking Jeep Gladiator and spend another 30 to 40 on it to make it stanced.
I mean,
and
think about
slammed.
it. It fits. It's a truck, so it would be a mini truck.
Yeah, it would just be. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It would look fucking atrocious.
Oh my
I
god,
imagine.
that would. Can you imagine?
And that's like my final send-off
That's it?
joke. That's it. That's it. Just that's it.
And you're only allowed to play that song. Dun 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 dun.
That's it. Just So if you
Jesus Christ.
if I happen to pass, just know that my wife has that in her.
If you see a
To-do
stance
list.
gladiator,
Yeah,
you know
I
it's,
died.
it's Venus.
Shit.
Right on. All right.
Yes.
And so is that it? Is that time?
Yeah, that's it. We've covered it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you should don't forget to
Return the cart.
and wash your hands
Wash your ass.
and check your oil, Tony. Like we already mentioned that, but I feel like we have to say it again.
Get the shot.
And return the cart.
Register to vote.
Make the call
Do the kindness.
and check your oil, Tony.
And check your oil, Tony. God damn. How many
Jesus.
cars you got?
All the oils.
Yeah, all the oils.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll catch you next week. This just in, Cadillac check. It's not done yet. Breaking news. Nope.